Welcome, Pisces, to your monthly horoscope for October for the Sun or the Ascendant. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd be honoured if you did so now. Please click or tap the bell notification symbol. Just briefly, I'd like to tell you about my exciting year 2021 personal horoscope special offer. Based on your time, if known, date and place of birth, this ascends way above your zodiac sign or ascendant to give you searing, detailed insights to what you can expect. But also, if you order in year 2020, I'll give you the rest of this year free in the forecast, plus a character analysis, and all 30% off the usual price. Please see the link beneath this video. Now, this month is unique insofar as it has two full moons. So it's a blue moon month. The blue moon itself occurs on the 31st and the full moon on the 1st in the sign of Aries, which for you is about your self-worth. It's also about everyday money, and it's also about more sensual, enjoyable pleasures like, the food that we really like to feast on. And it is, of course, in opposition with the sun on the other side of the heavens in the sign of Libra. And that's very much more about your longer term financial picture. So what you're being asked to do on this particular full moon in the following 2 weeks is toggle the ins and outgoings of your financial situation, but also stay in touch with your values, because high up in the sky we've got a cluster of energy in the sign of Capricorn. In your case, it's in your sector of the future, friendships, and also your more idealistic values. So because Pluto in this location is clashing with Mars, which is also in the same area as the full moon, your second solar house, and Mars is in retrograde all of this month, it's possible that if you try to force the pace around trying to put right, say, the damage of COVID that may have had to your financial situation, if you go a bit too quick or decide to do something that's not really something that sits comfortably with you, it could come back to bite you. But I understand entirely that you may have to take a short-term decision in order to create the stability and shore up your foundations if there has been some damage from COVID, which I know for a lot of people there has. But what's going to help you hugely is that Venus, the planet of love and affection, moves into a glorious location for you on the 3rd, your sector of related. And what Venus does in this transit, which lasts through to the 27th, is give you an opportunity to negotiate with others in a very skillful way. I'm not saying you wouldn't ordinarily be skillful, but what the more harmonizing energy of Venus in the 7th solar house for you gives you is a kind of way of doing things, a kind of atmosphere around you that's going to be very appealing. If you're single, it could pull someone to you who really, really is quite smitten with you. The intensity of the sun in the sign of Libra could mean that someone has quite a magnetic energy. So watch out for someone like that, but I think there's also the opportunity to improve pre-existing relationships or bring those new ones into your world through that glorious gliding energy of Venus in Virgo. Now, from the 18th to the 24th, I'll just give you the heads up, Venus forges a glorious link to that clustering of energy, the stellium in Capricorn. So it could be that a friendship group or an interest you have could be a way that someone new does enter your situation. But back to earlier in the month. From the 8th through to the 21st, it's the sun's turn to be in conflict with those group of players in Capricorn. The sun in the 8th house is about the things that we can share very closely with someone else. So, for example, if you work in a business together with someone and they want something different from the future where that clustering of energy is for you, or you feel there's some jealousy or possessiveness or control issues around the friendship circle that you're involved, all that could be really quite difficult to take. On the 14th, Mercury goes into a retrograde. As you come into this month, it's already in shadow period, which began on the 27th of September, and anything to do with contracts, travel, higher education, agreements will need micromanaging. But I'm a great fan, as you probably know, of seeing the upside of Mercury retrograde. So these can all be areas that you can think about more carefully to see how you can exploit the retrograde to your advantage. But the 16th does see a new moon in that 8th house. Now that could bring a new deep commitment to your situation in the following month, but also it could see you wanting to separate from where you do feel that others aren't getting your direction of travel, don't share your vision, don't share your values. So this is because a new moon's usually very good for setting our intentions, but because of that clustering of energy in Capricorn, they're angling back towards the new moon, inhibiting it. It's not such a good new moon as usual. But as I mentioned before, from the 18th to the 24th, Venus gloriously links to that group of planets. And then on the 23rd, the Sun moves into Scorpio, your sister water sign. This is great because it reinforces the retreat in Mercury, at least briefly, through to the 27th. So you have about 4 days where they're both in the sign of Scorpio. So use that energy to set up a holiday if it's possible with COVID, or to do something more spontaneous, or to set your intention to be more adventurous in some kind of way. Do more vigorous exercise would be another way you can surf this energy. The 28th is a really fascinating day because this year, 2020, is the year I call it the Sploshathon, because Mercury is retrograde in 3 water signs. But it comes back into actually Libra in the retrograde, and it's not going to come out of shadow until the 19th of November, and that by that time we'll be back in Scorpio. So at this point, its inversion back into Libra really asks you to be very careful around business contracts. Just revisit things very acutely. But Venus moves on the 28th into that area, and you know, Venus could bring some money into you. You know, perhaps the Mercury retrograde is about revisiting something, juggling it a little bit. You're very good at flexing. Your 2 ruling planets are in a marvellous alliance all this month, as they have been for some time, of Jupiter and Neptune. Your ability to use your imagination, your senses, the mystical side of your nature, your spiritual gifts, but also in an uplifting way, can overcome some of the problems that others can come up against, because you're like a stream that finds a pebble, that finds a way around things. And that ability to flow and ebb and flex is one of your great gifts. So Venus moving into its home zone of Libra, I think could be very good in terms of a more intimate relationship, or good in terms of some kind of payout. But it is true, from the last 4 days of the month, Mercury and Saturn go into a clash. When people have this square in their natal horoscopes, it can often be a bit sharp, a bit acerbic, sometimes a bit worrisome, anxious, a bit brittle. So just watch out for those kind of energies. But then we have the second full moon, this one, of course, the blue moon. I will resist singing to you. And this one engages with the energy of Uranus, the electric energy, which is saying to you from the middle of May 2018 to middle of November 18, from 7th of March 19 to now, to change things up, to be more open to new ideas, technologies, bringing more excitement and variety to your life, not being quite so set in the way you do things. If you're resisting it, you may be experiencing quite a lot of nervous tension, migraines, feeling sort of a bit edgy with neighbours or siblings. But if you embrace it, and this full moon is asking you, this lunation is asking you to embrace the energy of Uranus, because of course in the fixed sign of Taurus, where it's in full, it's doing everything it can to resist change, whereas you like to flow. So we're all experiencing the kickback of Uranus in Taurus by all these storms, and you know, the global impact of our behaviour is really having a massive impact on us, and it's pushing us to become more conscious, which Uranus is about the higher truth. But for you, it's the higher truth of your ideas. If your ideas are as stale as a pair of old slippers, it's time to throw those out and refresh them, and be okay with that, not seeing that as a personal thing. We're all given a set of principles and belief systems when we're kids, but the world is changing at such a cracking pace. How can anybody keep up with it? It's so breathless. So you may have an opportunity on the back of this full moon to revise and refresh. And if there is something you want to change in your everyday world, then it's just about seeing how your outer world, the higher side of your thinking, can take that process forwards. And that's going to happen in the first 2 weeks of November. So the big things for you this month, therefore, Pisces, is about resources, but it's about your principle. It is about control around deep involvements, whether it's personal or whether it's groups, and whether what you're doing in terms of your work or earnings actually fits your long-term plan or your higher self. If you really want to go for your higher self, you will stick very resolutely to your plan. Or you may have a short-term plan which flexes to suit the short-term circumstances of COVID, or you may just decide that you're going to go for the loot and not worry. It's not the stars that are telling you what to do, nor me. It is your own choice. But for now, stay safe, take care, good luck, and goodbye.